India is perhaps the only country in the world which has a separate ministry, dedicated ministry for food processing sector. But definitely the last 10 years or 20 years, we have seen a huge increase in the level of processing in the country. Apart from that, a lot of innovation is happening, a lot of new players are coming. So they are experimenting in new products. India has close to 25 lakh micro enterprises only for food processing sector. We signed MOUs worth more than 1 lakh crores. So that's investment which is going to come in this sector in the next a few years, for example.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Indus Food Elite. This is special because we have a very distinguished guest with us on the show today. I'm privileged to have Mr. Devesh Deval, the Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Food and Processing Industries, as our guest today on the show. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for having me here.
Uh, as someone who's playing a crucial role in the Ministry of Food and Processing Industries, how have you seen the food processing sector emerge in the last few years from where it was, and how do you see it growing in the forthcoming years?
I'll start with that. India is perhaps the only country in the world which has a separate ministry, dedicated ministry for food processing sector. Other places, it's mostly part of industries or agriculture. But realizing the importance that it plays in our context, because India is a primarily an agricultural country still, and we are the leading producer in agriculture commodities. We are at the top one or two or three in most of the important commodities, right? So the role it can play in the bringing change to the lives of the farmers, ensuring food security, value addition, and employment, government has thought it fit to have a separate ministry for food processing industries, and that is where the ministry has been, working very hard. So we have a lot to achieve in terms of where we want to go in terms of food processing, the levels of processing. But definitely the last 10 years or 20 years, we have seen a huge increase in the level of processing in the country. Before it was very minimal, but now we see because of the interventions by the government and the very healthy private sector participation, we see a lot of new enterprises emerging, and the level of processing has increased. So I think it's on a growing trajectory. Our growth rate for the last 10 years has been 6.5%. And in terms of our contribution to economy, we budgeted by gross value addition to the economy. That figure was 1.24 lakh crores in 2013-14. Now it is 2.24 lakh crores. So that shows that sector is growing, but it has a lot to grow in the
I
coming.
think I like the fact that you've given a very fair analysis that we have a long way ahead. And when we say that we have a long way ahead, that means that there are challenges in between that we have to cross in terms of achieving that growth rate and achieving the potential that India has in terms of agribusinesses and food processing. Uh, Also, in this respect, how have the cold chains and the storage facilities gone better in the last few years? Because that is one of the complaints that we've been listening in this sector, that because of the lesser facilities available in every nook and corner, a lot of produce gets perished.
Yeah, that is in fact one of the pressing concerns for this sector in India, and that is why in the ministry we have a specific scheme called Pradhan Mantri Kisan Sampada Yojana, PM KSY as we call it in short, that is dedicated to creation of modern infrastructure for post harvest processing basically. So cold chain forms a very important part of that infrastructure, because from after the producers left the farm till it is there on the shelf, we have to take care of the produce that it doesn't get spoiled. It is more relevant in terms of, say, in perishable commodities, say milk or meat or eggs, for example, or fruits and vegetables. So there it plays a very, very crucial role. So that is why PMKSY scheme, it has again different components. For vegetables is different, for meat and poultry would be different, for dairy it is different. But they all ideas same, to preserve the commodities, to prevent that loss that we are facing in the country. And again, as I said, in the last around 8 or 9 years, I think, close to 1,600 projects have been sanctioned under this scheme. Capacity that we have created in terms of cold chain storage in the country, it runs in a few lakh metric tons that we have, and the investment is continuing. And what is more important to realize is that because of the scheme, we have been able to leverage a far greater amount from the private sector. So I think against some investment that you made in the scheme of 5,000-6,000 crores, we have been able to leverage investment close to 30,000 crores from the private sector. So put together, it means a lot of investment has come in the sector, which is aimed at addressing the lack of infrastructure that we had, and that is why how we can address the issue of post-harvest losses. Apart from that, a lot of innovation is happening, a lot of new players are coming, so they are experimenting in new products, and that also helps in increasing the array of products for the consumers, and that also helps in diversification and more level of processing. If you see, our schemes are very decentralized. So, and we have not very big zones that we talk of, manufacturing zones, because we realize these are produced at a local level. For these, for the purpose of preventing post-harvest losses, we also don't want to take them to long distances for processing. So it has to be locally based also. So that is the government is keen. That is why we have a scheme in the micro enterprise sector. I mean, if you see that records from my economic survey and all, India is close to 25 lakh micro enterprises only for foods processing sector. But most of them in unorganized sector, but they are playing a big role. And then we have government scheme where we are trying to organize them, trying to facilitate their modernization. We provide them credit, we provide them handholding support, we provide them incubation support, we give them marketing linkages, backward linkages, so that we can take them to the next level. And the strength there is because they are spread all over the country. So whether it is Kashmir or Kanyakumari, we have those enterprises engaged in whatever is done locally. They are doing it in a very robust manner, and we are supporting it so that we have the range of products available and we take them.
Could you name a few products that you think are going to be the trailblazers for Indian F&P, food and beverage industry and food processing industry on the global stage in coming years, which you think have a lot of potential?
I think Indian products, I mean, they grow everything, and I mean, the way experimentation is happening, I see so many startups. You go to events, for example, and you see, I mean, how the sector is doing. So I'm sure they are innovating like anything in different kind of all kind of product. So I think we have a scope in everything. Few areas where there's a huge global demand, like one would be alcoholic beverages. So there again, for example, Indian alcohol brands, now they're doing exceedingly well at a global level, especially Indian whiskey, for example. Now that's getting recognized very well, and that would be one area I would suppose would do very well in times to come. Fruits and vegetables, I think we've not been able to capture the global market really, but we are focused mostly on tabletop variety. But that again is another area where we can do well. And then, of course, ready to eat and ready to consume. These are very staple kind of product categories in food processing.
Like Araku coffee is making waves globally. I'm sure there'll be a lot of other such products on the shelves that are going to be global front runners.
For example, moringa is popular, or I saw some kanji products today. For example, once people discover what kanji is and know what the benefits, is going to find much favor. Makhana, for example, right? It's in a very good health alternative for so many. As a snack, it is one of the best thing, right? So it's just a matter of getting it popularized once people know about it, overseas also and in India.
Lastly, I'd like to talk about Indus Food. This as a platform has grown year on year. How do you see this enabling the ecosystem in the food processing sector? Better growth, better opportunities, better networking, and better space for startups in the sector.
And I think this is an event, where we can see the strength of the industry. Because we in Industries Ministry, the action primarily lies in the private sector. So such events, for example, Indus, this is where we also learn a lot. We get to see what's happening in the sector. So it's a platform where, players come globally and internationally, and for domestically also. It's a very good opportunity to connect, and for us also to see, what is happening in the sector. It will facilitate dialogue. It will merge, it will facilitate collaborations and partnerships, and lot of MOUs signed. Our focus is on, promoting investment. Just few months back, we had World Food India in September 2025 in New Delhi only. There you'll be happy to learn that, we signed MOUs worth more than 1 lakh crores. So that's investment which is going to come in this sector in the next a few years, for example, right? So this is World Food India, Indus Food, and such events, these are prime events. They are recognized globally, and they are participation from all corners of the world. They are the platforms where we meet together, we learn together, and it really facilitates transfer of knowledge and transfer of capital.
And transfer of ideas, do you get grievances from players that we want this to be addressed, we want this to be heard and taken note of by the government?
Yeah, that we see is one of our role primarily, apart from playing the role of planning and development, which we do through the schemes. A big role in industries ministries to play the role of facilitator, for example. So we have a regulator, as we discussed, who set the standards. But there are, it's a very evolving situation. There are n number of products, for example. So industry, if they have some grievance, if they have some, if they feel something strongly about something, they always come to us because we are their first port of call. We are the ministry. We interact with them on regular basis. So we are very, very happy to do that. We have this regular system of interacting with them, and whatever grievance we feel that they are it ought to be considered, we raise at the rightful level. And it's a whole of government approach. At the end of the day, all ministries, we come together, whether it is health or industries or other ministries, commerce, for example, we come together and we take what is going to be a very good decision for a country as a whole. So definitely, we are all ears for their grievances, for whatever they have to give as a feedback. We take that and we take it forward to whatever we can do from our side.
Great to know that exhibitions and spaces like these act as a melting pot for people to converge, to network, and to brainstorm and to grow more. Thank you so much for being on Indus Food Elite with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.